What's going on, wrestling fans? Welcome into another edition of Near Falls with D Hall, a wrestling podcast. Today, it is my favorite episode of the year, my favorite project, the WPIAL Preseason Preview. So pumped up to release this to you guys. Just right off the bat, we're doing it a little bit different than we did last year. Last year, I had them all together on one. It was like 3 hours long. It was a lot. This year, I'm changing it up. Each single team is going to have their own little video, their own little episode of the pod. So you won't have to sift through all the other stuff. Super excited for that. We talked to all these different coaches, man. I had 30 guys come on from across AA and AAA, which shattered my goals for this year, which is awesome. So yeah, man, I'm just super excited to release this to you guys. It was a lot of fun. These coaches were open and honest. They had great insight, and for me, man, just to sit down and listen to these guys talk about what they're wrestling, there's not much better in my world. So without further ado, here is the WPIAL Preseason Preview. Thank you, guys. Love Jens. As always, brought to you by Switch Custom Apparel.
Welcome to the Near Falls WPIAL Show, where Dial and Kaz are gonna tell you all the things you wanna know. Whether it's Trinity or Spencer Lee or Mr. Kurt Angle, just ask Vinny D. WPIAL Ken and Mac for sure. They got the interviews to soothe your soul, because it's Near Falls in the WPIAL.
Okay, joining me next on the call, my good friend, head coach of Norwin High School, Kyle Martin. How are you, sir?
Not too bad. How are you?
Oh, dude, I am doing great. It is cold out. It's wet. It's rainy. It's nasty. But it is wrestling season. It is my favorite time of year. I'm so excited. And I'm talking to one of my favorites, Kyle. How's the off-season program gone for you guys?
It was great. So it, like you said, it's still that it's weird that temperature starts turning, and It's still exciting. Like, we didn't shut down from March on. We started with our RTC, had a lot of good results this winter. Some young guys that are coming up did really well. Jake Conroy, Hunter Snyder, Landon Sidden were all in the Fargo finals. Did a really good job. All three were on the national duels team. We had I want to say 8 or 9 on cadet or junior national duels team that did really well. We had some blood rounders at Fargo. It was really cool to watch them compete all summer. And then, it's easy after Fargo in late July that the room usually dissipates, right? Everybody's like, okay, kind of need that, some time out, right? But man, they just kept coming. We had to force them out for a week in August, and it was just just go and do something else, do anything else. And we just found out they just went other places and got other workouts in, which was completely fine. And that was good. But yeah, so it's kind of bittersweet. We're starting the season, which I'm really excited for. At the same time, it's also man, we had a lot of guys that we really love working with, really love having a room. We were not going to have that opportunity now until March. But we'll be big fans of them. I told them all they have to, really wrestle super well, unless they're wrestling Norwin guys. Then I expect their worst competition levels at that time.
No doubt. Coach, the college scene is taking off in full force, right? They start in early November. You got a few guys wrestling on the college circuit. Talk about them.
Man, we got a ton, and that's kind of always the push. We want to make sure that these guys have at least the opportunity. Whether they decide to wrestle in college or not is completely up to them. We're going to support them no matter what they want to do. And if they can and choose to compete in college, we're going to be huge fans. Excited. Some of them are going to stop by this weekend and for Thanksgiving break. But Chase Kranitz is killing it this year up at Buffalo already. He's turning in a good season already. Kurt Phipps, again, just doing Kurt Phipps things.
Right.
It was really cool seeing both of those guys wrestle in Vegas at the World Team Trials in the Open, and just being able to just sit in the stands and watch them and just how they've developed. It's crazy good. Gills at Mercyhurst. We got Josh Page at Muskingum. Connor Hennings out at York. Luke Pastorelli's coming off an ACL surgery down at Davidson. I know I'm going to be forgetting guys.
That's a good problem to have, my friend.
Yeah,
That's
I don't
a great
want
problem to have.
Yeah, Gabe Comboy ended up. He went to Penn State. He's considering wrestling with their NCAA like club team, so he's going to stay active in it, I think. But yeah, we got guys kind of just all over the place. It's pretty cool.
Absolutely great problem to have. Okay, as we get into the season, as you go through these off-season workouts, has any leaders emerged for you at the start of the season here?
Yeah, I'm really impressed with and I'm gonna sound like biased and like that oh, you're that coach. They all kind of have in their own like certain ways, right? So we have like our mission is developing Olympians in wrestling and Olympians in life. So we like really push the life stuff, and we focus on service, achievement in school, just being passionate in everything we do. Like Nate Campbell, rough ankle injury that ended his season last year. He could have made a strong guy at States, I think, and he could have been on the podium at Hershey. But he's already he's so zoned in on he's starting the service project already, which is the earliest that any of our guys that have been seniors have started it. Working with some soup kitchens and coming up with some ideas for that. And he's taken like that leadership role. Nate's never been like the hoorah like get you hyped type of guy, but he leads by like example in those sorts of way. And I think that's so valuable. And I talk to college coaches for him now that he's being recruited by. I'm like, he's just so valuable in that aspect. He's just calm, cool, collected, head down, and just kind of goes. And then like his counterpart, Aiden Pham, freaking hilarious. Great kid. He keeps it light. He keeps everybody kind of smiling. When they're dog tired, he'll crack a good joke or something like that. And that's leadership too, right? He was at the Olympic Training Center with me and a few athletes last March, and Duran Wynn was there, right? And Duran was one of the coaches out there. And like you just assume, guys, UFC fighter, everything like that. Aiden Pham and Jack White, both of those guys were all over him, like the entire camp, dogging him the entire camp. And it just blew me away that those guys just had that gumption in them. But like, yeah, it's just cool to see that. And then like we have some younger guys that sophomore Tanner Schaefer, he was at the training center in the summer camp, and Nate Campbell's out there too. Tanner Schaefer, it's hard to get like whole sentences out of him, right? He's real like under the radar stuff, but out there he won an award for like the toughest worker, hardest worker out of camp at the Olympic Training Center, right? So he's a leader by example. We got some young guys that are just gritty in the wrestling room.
Give me some of those names. What are some of those freshmen that I need to look out for? I know there's one that's not bad, but besides him.
Yeah, Lennon Sidden's okay, right?
Yeah.
So we had a real rough workout last night, and I mean, like he at one point he went from an NCAA champ to a 2-time state champ to a 4-year NCAA Division I athlete in his circle, just beating on him. And then like they wore him out, and then I jumped in and finished him off, right?
Oh, you got him when he was all soft. That boy.
Yeah. And then like I'm just like I was blown away by how he handled like that first time of feeling that kind of like, oh, he's not the guy in the room. And he handled it well. Like he got gritty, he got real physical back. Like he's like, I might not be able to take you guys down, but I'm gonna beat your heads in with my hands. He's gonna get every inch of it. So real excited about him and like his development. He buys into everything. He's so incredibly coachable, which is like that's kind of like the total package stuff, right? You're really good, and have some confidence that you can win some big matches, but you're willing to learn and open to learn. And he asks so many questions and good questions, and he's able to start like thinking and adapting through matches and reflecting on stuff. So super impressed with him, obviously. And we've had a lot of time with him and know what he's about, and we're excited for him. Nate Klingensmith's another one, kind of an under the radar guy, right? Landon Sidden's on your middle school team. He's getting a lot of the lights in action, but man, Nate Klingensmith has like grown into a little hammer. He has some attitude when he's wrestling, which is really nice to see out of ninth graders. Jake Hall's another one. Not many people know about him. He just started wrestling in 7th grade. He's fallen in love with it. Came most of the summer training, loves it. So we got some guys through the middle lineup that are freshmen, and it's our first year where we have some depth where, you know, 9th graders don't have to be up with us. They can wrestle the middle school schedule, and we can kind of focus on their development. But you know, hey, we got Luca Butera as a sophomore. He's no longer 94 pounds, wrestling 107. So he's done really well. He's put on a little bit of size. He works hard. We were talking last night, and Jared King was even talking about just like attitude this year has been, you know, and we're only 4 practices in, but attitude has been like game changing, right? There's a little bit of like edge to these guys. They all want to be on the podium at Hershey. They can all kind of see themselves there. They know what they need to do to get there. So that's been really cool to see. And we're just hoping to keep that rolling as we get into some competition here in 2 weeks.
You mentioned Jared King. Obviously, he's one of your mainstay guys that's on your coaching staff. But you roll in with like a whole army of coaches. You know,
that's right.
Listen, people talk about it. It's not just, you know, it's known that Norwin's got 19 coaches in the corner. You know what I mean?
Right.
So who are the guys that are helping you lead the charge this year?
Oh, holy smokes. Okay. So let's go through it. So like Caden Smiley's incredibly valuable. So one of the things whenever I started Norwin, I was like, man, I've never done the head coaching thing. I'm not a huge fan of like paperwork and, you know, figuring out all that stuff. And he's like, oh, I love it. Right. He's a safety engineer. He's like in charge of half the country, like from the Mississippi to the east, in his company. Like
the paperwork's in his blood.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And man, is he like a working machine, but he's on the mat every day. Whenever he's in the room, just battling with guys. Eric McGinnis is there. He just got elected as the freestyle director for Pennsylvania. Obviously, Jared King, he's okay.
Not bad.
Yeah, not bad. But we got some new guys that came to us and asked about coaching this year. Jake Temple, we sent him away. He was coming down with Braden Welsh. For the RTC, and he kind of is in the area now, kind of likes what we're doing and wanted to be a part of it. So he's in there. Kyle Myers reached out to us. He was at West Virginia University, just graduated, got a job up near us, wants to help. He came in and just beat the daylights out of guys the first couple of days. So he's great to have in the room. We got, Landon's dad, Dave, who is like a phenomenal guy to have in the room. He was on our middle school staff the last 2 years. So he's on our high school staff this year. We have, making it tough.
It's a good problem to have again.
Devin Austin, right? Devin Austin ran
not bad. He's
yeah,
not bad.
Devin Austin ran our strength and conditioning this summer.
He's a freak. I watch his stuff on Instagram.
Right.
Oh my Lord.
Right. And some of the workouts he was putting guys through, like Landon Sidden was getting like rubbery leg coming out of the field house. Whenever I was watching those guys, I was like, oh, that must have been a good one. But yeah, having him in there. Nick Seaman from Penn Tech, just graduated last year from Penn Tech, got a job out in Madison, reached out about helping out to coach. And we're like, yeah, like we want to surround our guys with as many like good character guys as we can. I think we filled the room up with them. And it's just lucky for us. They're all pretty good at wrestling too. We have some new additions this year. Ethan Kenny, who's in like fight mode now too. He walks in the room like he's kind of scary. The talk last
those
night,
two brothers, those Kenny brothers, they got a little something into them. You know what I mean?
Right?
Yeah.
So, like Ethan has had hands on Landon a few times over last year, and Landon like swears up and down that's the strongest human being he's ever met.
Strength, man.
It's
you
insane.
Just keep pulling them Connellsville boys over.
Right, that's where we're from, and that's our connection, right?
Awesome.
I still argue we have one of the best middle school head coaches in the country with Donnie Doty. Just incredible. He has like 62 or 63 kids signed up for wrestling this year at the middle school.
Awesome.
And like he coaches middle school football for Norwin. The kids freaking love him. But Tyler Kenny, who's Ethan's younger brother, he's working on staff at the middle school. We got Heath Coles, Norwin OG out. He's been helping out. He was in the room. And we started our women's team this year. We have Scott Patrick, who used to coach at Norwin High School as an assistant a few years ago. He's actually kind of doing a couple days a week with our women's team. Mike Dahlman, who's Josephine Dahlman's dad, is kind of taken like a little bit off my plate with that, which has been super helpful. And I know I'm missing guys. I know I am. I think I like middle school, high school combined with the women.
And you got in girls. You did good, man. That was pretty impressive.
I think 18 or 19, like coaches.
I was joking when I said 19 and you just rattled off 19. That is impressive.
Yeah. And like I said, man, it's just we're blessed with having them want to be a part of it. Obviously, very few are paid. They just want to be a part of it, and it kind of speaks volumes of the kids that we have, and like the program that they're creating. I didn't make the program, the kids do, and then I think that it's attractive and kind of magnetic, and they see what the room's like, and they just want to be there and be a part of it. So we'll keep our doors open for guys like that. Surround our kids with good character people.
Okay. New question I have this year, and it's honestly it's a hit. What games do you guys get into? Dodgeball, kickball? What's the room game over at Norwin?
So we have some spike ball.
Okay.
There was some blatant cheating going on in spike ball, largely on my part. And it stems back to Chase Kranitz. Like that dude has the wingspan, and it's crazy. So you had to cheat to beat him. And then we evolved into some 2-man dodgeball when we were at Cadet National Duels this year. Some of the kids from Faith Christian played that 2-man dodgeball, and like the kids loved it. And they're like, "Oh, we got to do this in Norwin." So we started playing that. That's intense. I like it more than team dodgeball. I've noticed that in team dodgeball at Norwin, you could get hit 20 times, but for some odd reason, you're never out. Like nobody ever leaves the dodgeball.
Interesting.
Game. Right. Gannon Conboy gets hit in the face, and he's just like, he looks to see if anybody saw, and he just stays in. So 2-man dodgeball helps out a lot. But we've had really intense games the last 3 weeks of handball. Like really intense games.
Now, will you get in there?
Oh, absolutely. I get involved in everything.
Okay, so in handball, what are you, goalie? You playing? You thrown? Facilitating? What are you getting?
You know what? I always get his name wrong. Is it John Stockton?
Okay. Yeah. No, that's right. Yeah.
I'm John Stockton. I'm an assist, Matt. Yes. Like I'm freaking no look passes, right between the leg passes, shaking everybody. Yeah, I don't have to score goals. I'm not about the glamour of goals. I'm all for the assists.
I love that.
Yes, that's been our game right now. Is some handball. We have had some intense games of tag in our warm-ups too recently, which is just kind of like out of nowhere. Just became part of our warm-up where somebody's hitting and then we just break loose in tag. So
that's awesome. I mean, it's a classic. It's a classic.
Yeah.
Okay. Schedule, man. What's it look like this year for you guys, and how are you building for the end of the year?
Man, it's our schedule's tough. We're gonna take lumps. I think it's gonna build some character on our guys. So we go to Ephrata Duels first weekend. The whole point of going out there is the opportunity to wrestle Malvern Prep. Last year we wrestled them first weekend of the season, and I still will swear up and down that was the best match we've wrestled. Like we rose to the occasion. Score wise, they beat us 50-6 or something like that. But like every match, no kid back down. Everybody was like, "Oh, this is cool. We get to wrestle Malvern Prep guys," and they go after it, and they're excited for that already. Just to have that opportunity to compete at that level, and they got to rise up to it, right? We want to give them opportunities to kind of do that, and this year we expanded on that even more. So it's probably good and bad. We had our schedule set. And then probably a week after, we got invited to Ironman. And I would have been like, "Oh, we got to do Ironman too." But I think looking at our schedule, it's like, it may have been too much for us because we're going to the Beast. We're going to Escape the Rock. We're going to Powerade.
You guys got a schedule.
Yeah, and that's what we want with it. Like I'm never gonna care what my record is. My
Right.
dual meet record, it's not about me and never is. It's gonna be about the kids. I think we allowed them some ownership in the schedule, giving them some options. Like if we do this, we're not gonna be able to do this. If we do this dual tournament, we're not gonna be able to do this dual tournament. And they kind of embrace that challenge. Like they want to get tested. Some of them are like super excited to see where they're at that level with the beast at Powerade, obviously at Escape the Rock. Like Escape the Rock has gotten crazy good.
Yep.
There's a lot of prep schools there, and if you're on the podium at Escape the Rock, you're a stud, right? So yeah, we wanted to challenge them. So our schedule is a meat grinder, but we're focused on our periodization plan. Everybody's kind of buying into it with the active recovery days, knowing days where it's volume and it's going to be a long, hard, brutal practice, but it's going to help us out in the end. So we're not going to be able to peak for the Beast and Powerade. So the kids kind of wanted to focus a little more on Powerade than the Beast. So the Beast is going to be a little eye opener for us. We won't be 100%, probably be in that like 75, 80%, maybe a little beat up, still grinding. Powerade hopefully look pretty fresh. And then after that, our next peak will be for the individual season. So everything's aimed towards that. So everything we do kind of working backwards from being the absolute best conditioning, best strength, best technically we can be end of February.
Nice. Okay. Social medias. How can we follow your squad this year?
Oh man. Norwin Wrestling. Let me grab it on Twitter. Let me see here. Sorry, I should have had this ready. That's my fault.
You're fine, please.
Yeah, so on Twitter it's at Norwin Wrestling. Real easy.
You got it.
Yeah, and then on Instagram, the kids have developed one. It's actually kind of funny. I've never seen I would see it here and there, like these Almost Friday.
Yes, I've seen this. That's before. I think we're past that time, my friend. I don't know what that means either.
No, so I saw it a little bit, and they did it through the football season. And then all of a sudden, like out of nowhere, like on Instagram, I saw this Norwin _wrestling_. And it's Norwin Wrestling. And the first thing I see is like Landon sitting in the middle of class, like, right. And then how you can scroll through, there's Aiden Pham, like pretending to choke somebody out. And it's tough to see on there. And then there's Jack White standing and posing. There's like a Bill Petco selfie, like in his car driving.
Just randomness.
Right. But then I get attacked. Right. So like somebody snapped a picture last year of me eating a Kit Kat. And then that's what I'm seeing like in these Almost Fridays, right? But then
they're crushing you.
Yeah, but then Aiden Pham will post him like flexing next to like these cutout pictures, and it's all it's some of it's funny, but I do feel attacked sometimes. But they get after it. I gotta keep my game up on Twitter and social media. So
keep your game up, keep your guard up. You can't let them get any of those good pictures, dude.
Right. I got to ban them having phones around me, taking
good luck.
Sneaky pics. Yeah. Good luck is right.
Oh, my friend. That's good stuff. Anything or anyone you want to shout out before I leave you go?
Man, pretty much everybody in the Norwin community. They've been really supportive. We have a great booster. We have great parents. Our youth program has gotten revamped this year. AJ Brentzel is kind of the man in charge there, and Lee Newcomer, they've kind of taken the role as they got some younger kids there. They have a little over 100 kids in the youth program.
Nice. Good stuff.
I made a huge error last week. I thought it was our last night workout preseason. It was on Wednesday, and I was like, it'll be real cool if like our middle school, high school guys practice the same times as the youth, right? Let them all see each other. We'll just play games or whatever. There's like 160 people in our room. It was a terrible idea. It was just like absolute chaos. So I felt bad putting Brentzel and Newcomer into that. But definitely shout out to them. Shout out to our athletic director, Mike Burrell. He's incredibly supportive. He's not a big wrestling knowledge guy, but man, he has our back in everything and is just so supportive of our schedule, of us being able to travel. He's just always like, hey, whatever you need. And it's also nice having Kurt Phipp's dad as assistant AD.
Not bad.
With the wrestling stuff, right? So he's incredible. Our ADs are fantastic. Our coaching staff is fantastic. Like and I'm being honest, if you would like remove me from the coaching staff, we would have one of the best ones in the country. I get in there to like kind of level it down a little bit. But no, and that's pretty much it. Shout out to you for always like promoting the sport. Like without like, listen, even 10 years ago, none of this stuff happened, right? None of these like podcasts, no exposure for the kids. So huge shout out to you. But the biggest one's like to all the kids that are wrestling at Norwin. Wrestling is such a tough sport. Men's sports is declining for adolescents. Wrestling's one of the biggest declining sports for men. It's ironic because women's is skyrocketing, right? It's one of the fastest growing, but men's wrestling for adolescents, and it's because it's tough. Kind of have the message this year is life rewards hard, right? Wrestling's hard. It's going to be rewarding in the long run. So we're really happy that like the last 3 years since we've been here, every year we've had an increase in varsity participation. I think we had 17 my first year here, and we have 36 or 37 on the varsity team. And that's the goal as well. Every year, 10% increase until we get to a 100-man roster on the high school, or they fire me, whatever happens first. But yeah, wrestling's fun, but life is a little bit bigger, and hopefully we're helping them prepare for the hard stuff in life with wrestling. So
absolutely. Kyle, thank you so much for carving out some time for me on this holiday week. And man, I can't wait to see you at one of the tournaments or matches or whatever the case may be.
Heck yeah. I appreciate you, man. Have a great Thanksgiving.
Oh man.
Later. Right. See ya.